Hello, this is Anna Davis Augustini. I am a historical horticulturist, and today I thought I would discuss with you how we could start seedlings indoors in greenhouse or greenhouse style plantings. Especially with uncertain times, it's nice to know that we can grow our own food if we need to, and everyone can do it. It's quite easy. So first I'll begin with showing you a couple of different container styles that we can use. Then we'll talk a little bit about soil choice, and we'll talk a little bit more about seeds and how you can really prepare them and get them going. So first I'd like to show you two different things. We have seed trays like this, where there are various circular containers. Then you have some trays that are a bit more like this, where it's all in a long line, lots and lots of rows to get lots and lots of seedlings started. And as you can tell, for this style, I've used a potting soil. So the potting soil I prefer to use is this one here. This is Master Nursery's Bumper Crop, and it's a Gardener's Gold potting soil. Now I use this for potting plants, but I also use their Bumper Crop soil when doing gardening, vegetable gardening specifically, just to amend the soil and enrich it, make sure that my plants have lots of good nutrients. So that's the kind of soil, again, that I will use in a tray like this. But for these circular ones, I found these little pellets are perfect. So these are Jiffy pellets, seed starting pellets, very tiny little circles. They have a hole at the top. And when you place them in the perfectly shaped circular holes and add water, they grow. So this is a great activity to do with children, for instance, because they love to watch these sort of interactive goings on. So the other thing I like about these, they have a biodegradable netting around the soil. So when my seedlings are ready, I can remove a whole pod with my seedling started, and I can plant it exactly that way. Often our seedling roots are very delicate and can break very easily when we move them. So this ensures that the whole package of nutrients and roots and rootlings stays together. I'd say it's one of the downfalls of using a tray similar to this one, is that you can sometimes lose the little root parts, and then your plant may struggle or not survive at all. So I prefer this method, but I do find that this one works useful for different kinds of seeds. Now, if you don't have seed trays, that's no problem. We have gorgeous pots. Most of us have lots of pots laying around. Again, you would just fill your pots, typically with a potting soil. You can also use egg cartons, plastic or cardboard. Fill those small holes with some soil and start your seeds in there. You may also use plastic cups, party cups. A lot of us have those things laying around, old supplies from days past. And since we won't be hosting any parties anytime soon, I thought that this would be an ideal way to get it going. Just using things that you already have is very good. So there's other things too, different kinds of soil. This is the Burpees seed starting mix. It's really just a great big block of potting soil, if you will, or even these little pellets. And again, a little will go a long way. Once you add water, it will sort of expand and grow. Another thing I really like to use, and I've learned this through experience, is popsicle sticks. And I'm sure that lots of you have different ideas about how you can label your seeds in the trays. I just find that this one is most effective for me. I always keep a Sharpie on hand so that when I plant my seeds, I can label it, and then I place it typically at the end of my row. Now, if you're feeling very adventurous, you could label each single pod, but I tend to plant in rows. So here, for instance, I have a Cordon Bleu cabbage from Baker Creek Rare Seeds, and they've already started. I'm not sure if you can see those little seedlings, but there they go. And here I have a Maltese cross. So I've got 2 rows of that. And then sometimes I like to put special instructions that come on the seed packets on top of my popsicle stick, just to remind me if they need something special. So once you've set up your seed trays, you've added water, your pellets have grown, or your soil is nice and wet and damp, which is really what you want to get started before you even put your little seeds inside. So now that you're set up, it's a matter of the best part, the fun part, which is choosing which seeds to grow. So currently, as I work for a park, and I'm not allowed to continue planting at the moment as we are in sort of an emergency lockdown for COVID-19, I thought that I would at least start my plants in the greenhouse or in these trays so that when I'm allowed to return to work, they're ready to go. So I have a mixture of ornamental plants, specifically historical ornamental plants, and historical vegetables. But if I were gardening from home, it's really your choice. But in weird times like this, it's good to grow your own food. Some things are a lot more simple to grow. For instance, this cabbage germinated very quickly, took off very quickly, likes it a little bit cold, likes a lot of sunlight, so we're in the perfect season for growing those and starting those. Same with salad greens. Others, I like to, sometimes we need some flowers to just perk us up and bring us some joy, especially again when things are so uncertain. So again, I have a mixture here of vegetables and flowers. I would like to talk about some of the seeds that I prefer just when looking to order in the first place. I think it's very, very important that we always choose organic seeds and non-GMO seeds. You can all have your own opinion on that, and that's fine. But for me, someone who's constantly gardening, constantly tending to the earth, I just love those bees, and I don't want to see them die off. So I find that this is the responsible choice to make. And there are several companies that really, really support them. As you can see, here's one right here. This is Select Seeds. Another absolute favorite. Oh, bugger. What happened? No. Oh, well. An absolute favorite is the Baker Creek seeds. So, ones like this from this company. Baker Creek Heirloom Seed Company, and that's rareseeds.com. They're a fantastic choice, very responsible. And another top favorite, let's see if I have here, is Strictly Medicinals, and that's strictlymedicinals.com, and that's ideal for your special herbs, cooking herbs, medicinal herbs. They're lovely, they're non-GMO, open pollinated, organic seeds, always a good choice. So how do you do it? Once you pick out your seeds, your kinds of seeds, the most important thing you can do is read the package. They all come with instructions typically. It will usually, for instance, with Select Seeds, they're very good about it. They put an indoor and an outdoor growing suggestions. And I just think that you'll have great success if you follow the instructions per seed, which can be hard, can be tricky to keep track of when your timing is. I tend to keep a calendar just so that I can stay focused and on track and make sure I get seeds in time when they want to be in. So typically I would not plant more than 1 to 3 seeds in any of these little circular containers. And as time goes on and they start to germinate and start to grow, if I find perhaps that all 3, for instance, have come up, I tend to try to pick what looks like the strongest one and remove those around it. Now, if I can remove those around it, save them and move them, and still have them grow, that's great. If they're a loss, that's a shame, but we're going to allow the hardiest ones to survive and get the best chance of having them grow. Seed trays like this one are really great for little tiny itty bitty seeds that you kind of need to sprinkle along. Really delicate, you'd be afraid you lose them otherwise. And the beauty of these trays is that they come with an under tray, right? So you never need to water your seedlings right on top. So you don't need to water like this. You would simply water into the tray. That's most effective, I find, so that you don't drown your little seedlings. It allows the water to come up through the soil and reach your plants without any difficulty of crushing them, for instance. That is a downside to pot gardening, pot starting like this. I don't know if you can see my itty bitty tiny little germinated seeds. But I have to be very, very delicate in the way that I water them so that, again, I don't drown them. So slow and steady is probably the best way. Or I can water into the tray and hope that it will suck up into the soil, into the pot. These trays typically come with also a little clear plastic greenhouse lid, right? Very convenient. and they fit right on top. And that helps keep your heat in, especially at night, and your moisture in as well. If you don't have these, again, you're being a DIY greenhouser, you will use a plastic wrap, for instance. And you would be surprised, truly, how much clear plastic we have in our house. So if you don't have a cover like this, or you don't have saran wrap at the moment, I'm sure that there's something around that you can find that's clear, plastic, and will cover it. Or even glass. Glass would be great. Glass would be the best. All right, so very easy. Follow your instructions on your seed packets. Plant them to the depth that they require. Put them in the sunlight. Typically keep them warm. I have various seed trays around my house at the moment in every open and available window. I also have a small, very tiny little outdoor plastic greenhouse that was just purchased online, and it works quite well. It is an outside one, so it does drop when the temperature drops. So if certain seeds really need to stay hot and high for a long time, I tend to bring them in, put them where they can stay warm, and then I move them outside during the warmest parts of the day so they get some really good sunlight. I hope you enjoyed my little presentation, just talking about how to get indoor greenhousing and outdoor greenhousing started. If you have questions, please feel free to comment. I will try and get back to everyone as much as I can. And if you find that this was helpful and you'd like to see more, please give me that positive feedback as well. I would really appreciate it. At the moment, everybody is having a little uncertainty with their jobs, so I may eventually start asking for donations.